can you give me a little bit of background into how you got into CrossFit?
Before I did CrossFit, at the time I found CrossFit, I was actually I just finished rowing. I competed in rowing for 4 years at uni. Left rowing, and it was so much endurance work, and that I then I like flipped the other way and went straight into strength training. And during like weightlifting and kind of like the bodybuilding and powerlifting kind of training, I found CrossFit. I didn't do it at all, and I actually was one of those people that said, "Oh, look at them doing their silly fish flopping pull-ups," and I looked down upon it. And then over time, I started to see more and more of the benefits and started to incorporate it into my training a little more, instead of doing like the usual boring hit interval stuff on machines. And then I actually went for
Oh, there you go.
oops, yep. Then I actually went for entry into the Royal Marines, and during the entry process, I suffered a knee injury, and that knee injury then meant that I had to forfeit my entry and go in for the following year. And I rehabbed the knee, and then to kind of test that the knee was back at full fitness, I used CrossFit and started doing some of the workouts, started entering some little competitions, and by the time the next year had rolled around for the next entry, I'd already qualified for and competed at the Athlete Games, qualified through the Open for regionals, and then gone to regionals, come 10th, and been offered a job at a CrossFit box. So I figured, I thought I'd found a way basically to be fit and healthy and active without necessarily having to go for like the negative sides of being in the military, like being away from family for such for long periods of time. And yeah, and then that's how I got stuck in.
Do you remember the first WOD that you did?
I think it would probably be something like Cindy or Chelsea. I think it was like Cindy or Chelsea, whichever one it is. That's the 20-minute AMRAP with 5 pull-ups and 10 push-ups and 15 air squats. And the pull-ups started off as strict pull-ups, and then as you're trying to do them faster, they turn into this like weird double kipping pull-up. And then after a while, I started to, okay, so this is a kipping pull-up. And then and that's so like round 1 was strict, and by round 10 it was kind of like a weird fish floppy. By round like 18, 20, I was like, oh, okay, this is a kipping pull-up. And then that's how I think that was probably one of the first ones.
You're that guy who walks into the gym on day 1 and masters the kipping pull-up.
but then it's last in the run because he's 100 kilos.
And then we came to see Strength in Depth this January and saw you there. How was that competing?
Oh, that was all right, wasn't it? It was a nice competition.
Yeah, you did well. It was like one of the last ones of this year, I think.
Yeah, that was lucky, wasn't it? I didn't. I think there was there Norway? Did they have Norway after that? I think there was only 1 or 2 maybe that after Strength in Depth. But yeah, it went very well. Better than I could have. Well, not better than I could have hoped for. That was always the plan, to try and qualify through Strength in Depth. But considering the field of athletes that they had, I was very happy with how it went.
Awesome. And then, of course, you qualified for the games. How have you found the process? I mean, it's been an unusual year.
Yeah, it's been not what I had imagined. After spending so long training for it and making it a goal to try and qualify, after qualifying, it felt like such a massive relief, like a weight had been lifted off me, because but in qualifying you realize, okay, the training that I've been doing has been working, like the time that I've put in and the sacrifices that I've made have been worth it. I've qualified now, finally, and then I get to enjoy this process of training up to the games and looking forward to all the different experiences that you have on that journey, but also at the games as well. Whereas this year it's been very different, because of because of COVID, and of also some other things that have happened during that time as well. So yeah, it has, I don't want to say spoilt the process, because you can always take comfort in the fact that you have qualified and enjoy the fact that your training now is for the games. But it has soured it a little bit, because some of the unfortunately, like some of the focus has been taken away from training, and some of the stress has been taken away from training and put more on sorting out things like logistics, all the logistical issues with going to the games, things like visas, things like handling, or how do you manage a 14-day self-quarantine in America when you've got to train for 14 days before the games as well. Being in a hotel room quarantined for the duration of the games, how are you going to get food in when you've got like a microwave and a mini fridge? So things like that I shouldn't really be part of an athlete's worry. But I've tried to stay focused on the training and remember that whatever happens, like I want to be fit enough to compete. If I can go, which it looks like I should be able to, then great, I can go. And if for some unfortunate reason it doesn't work out, then the training hasn't gone to waste.
Do you have some kind of mantra that you keep at the forefront of your mind when all these distractions are going on? How do you stay focused on what you actually just need to do?
I think it just comes down to the work that you put in. It just comes down to the work that you put in. Like, it's not different things can happen, different hurdles can get in the way, but that doesn't stop you from training hard. And if you've trained hard and smart consistently, that will not go to waste. There were lots of opportunities that I had to qualify for the games before I did, that I either missed or failed. Like, the training that led up to that didn't go to waste. Like, it carried forward to then I was able to use it for another time when I did qualify. So when all this other stuff is going on, I can still train, I can still put the work in and take comfort in the fact that like this will be rewarded one day. Like, I hope it's this year's games, but if it's not, maybe it's next year's, maybe it's the years after that, but the work will not go to waste unless you waste the time and don't put the work in. Because whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Like, whether you go to whether I get to the games or whether everything works out and I attend or not, like, that time is still going to pass. So I could have used it stressing out, or I could have used it just putting work in and letting that pay off.
Have you been able to think forward as to what your strategy might be at the games?
Yeah, I've been asked this before. It's a difficult one to answer because I've never been before. I've never been as an individual athlete before, and every year is so different. This year is going to be especially different. It's quite difficult to set goals and say, like, I want to achieve this, because there's so many things that are out of your control. So I've tried to focus on the things that are in my control. And so the two things would be, I want to get there feeling like I'm prepared. I don't want anything to come up where I feel like I don't know how to attack this, or that movement's going to be a real weakness for me, or something that I feel like has held me back that could have been prevented had I prepared better. And B is just to give it 100% for the entire competition.
We can't wait. We can't wait to watch that.
Get hyped up talking about it.
Let's go now. So, thinking even further ahead, like, what is the future for you in this sport, do you think?
I haven't, to be honest, I haven't thought beyond the games. I've just tried to keep the focus on that. It's different things have happened this season, which may mean that next year the format changes. But I do feel like when you qualify, even though like year to year, like the level is high, like the competition differs slightly, and once you've qualified it for the games, like, you are that standard of athlete. And so just thinking beyond the games, the only really thing I've been thinking about is just making sure that I understand that the standard, the level now has gone up for me, and that's a level that I need to be prepared to maintain and exceed next season as well. So once I've gone to the games, like, staying in that mindset, like, okay, this is where we're at now. This is the standard that we need to stay at, and switch over from, like, I'm no longer like trying to qualify athlete. I'm a games athlete going there to do some damage next year, whatever it is.
And I'm just thinking about all the people that might be watching this who are new into CrossFit and they've got really giddy and other different movements. Back in time, what advice would you give yourself when you were started?
I think I was very lucky in the sense that I had quite a varied sporting background before I went into CrossFit. So I had quite a lot of the foundational skills. And like I played basketball, I rowed, weightlifting. Like I had like such a varied background that when I got into CrossFit, I had a lot of foundational skills. So like picking up the more complex skills wasn't so hard. But I think for someone that's starting in CrossFit now, the level is so high. At the highest level, the level of skills that they have, and like we have, they have the complexity and the intensity that you can execute those at. It's very easy for someone getting into the sport for the first time, just seeing like, someone doing like smashing out ring muscle ups when they're at like 90% of their max heart rate, or like walking on their hands up and down like steps and ramps. It's very easy to see that and like and want that and think that you're going to get it in like a measured amount of time. So I think it's important for anyone starting now to understand that it's not, first of all, like you're not going to get those skills quickly. Like, they're going to take a long time to develop, and that's okay, because it's not about once you have the skill, it's about the journey and the process of getting it. So maybe to myself earlier, like more about like enjoying the process, enjoying the journey of like accumulating strength and fitness and skills, and not feeling rushed to get it. If you go in the gym, if I go in the gym and have a bad day, like not allowing it to get to me and think that I'm going backwards or being stagnant, just understanding like it's part of the ebb and flow of training, and just to enjoy the process of getting everything, enjoy the journey of getting better.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's been ace, like kind of going through this process with you, getting to know you a little bit. It's a shame we can't pack our suitcases and come over there with you.
Well, you could, but you'd have to stay in quarantine for 14 days, and then again when you get back. So if you've got a 3 month and a half in your schedule.
Okay, well, we'll just do some more Zoom, shall we?
I mean, the buns here are pretty good. It might be worth it.
Oh, that's ace. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and thank you for doing some awesome t-shirts for me as well.